Okay, we are back in regular session after the closed session, and we will start the Selma City Council regular meeting. There was no reportable action from the closed session. With that, we will officially close the closed session, the special meeting, and open the Selma City Council regular meeting on March 20th, 2023. It is 6:17 p.m. in the Selma City Council chambers, 1710 Tucker Street in Selma, California. The teleconference phone number is 301-715-8592. The webinar ID is 891-6864-5005. Did we want to go right to the proclamation before we go through all of the other preamble to the meeting? Or do we want to call the order? Okay, with that, we'll call the meeting to order, and we will have our invocation tonight, which is led by Pastor Jose Alvarez of the Iglesia Antioquia. Do we have Pastor Alvarez?
Not online yet. So if we that until he jumps up.
All right, we'll table the invocation and we will move to the Pledge of Allegiance led by Council Member Guerra. Everybody please stand.
Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, great. Okay, welcome, Pastor Joe. Ready for the invocation? Anytime, Pastor.
Hi, Pastor Joe. Are you ready to unmute yourself and provide the invocation?
Okay, we'll call the roll then.
Councilmember Guerra,
Here.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro. Here. Councilmember Trujillo,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho,
Here.
Mayor Robertson.
Here. Potential conflicts of interest. Any council member who has a potential conflict of interest may now identify the item and recuse themselves from discussing and voting on the matter. Agenda changes or deletions, which we're doing tonight to better accommodate members of the public or inconvenience in the order of presentation. Items on the agenda may not be presented or acted upon in the order listed. Additions to the agenda may be added only pursuant to California Government Code Section 54954.2B. And we are going to move our special presentation ahead of oral communications tonight. We'll certainly have oral communications, but we're going to start with our first special presentation, which is the proclamation for Selma's fallen police officer, Gonzalo Carrasco Jr. I want to welcome his family here. Thank you for coming tonight. I'm going to read this proclamation and I'm going to present it to Gonzalo Sr., Officer Carrasco's dad, and Christopher Carrasco, Officer Carrasco's brother. So I'm going to read the proclamation now. This is the proclamation of the Selma City Council. Whereas on January 31st, 2023 at 11:45 a.m., police officer Gonzalo Carrasco Jr. was shot in the line of duty in Selma, California, while checking on a suspicious person. And whereas on January 31st, 2023, Officer Gonzalo Carrasco passed away as a result of his injuries. And whereas police officer Gonzalo Carrasco lived his life to pursue his dream of becoming a police officer. And whereas police officer Gonzalo Carrasco exemplified the spirit of the police officer by his actions, as they were symbolic of the profession, and dedicated himself to protect and serve the community of Selma. And whereas police officer Gonzalo Carrasco is the first police officer in the Selma Police Department's nearly 100 history to be killed in the line of duty. And whereas the city of Selma, through proclamation, is dedicating Police Officer Gonzalo Carrasco's end of watch date officially as January 31st, 2023. Now therefore, be it resolved that the City Council for the City of Selma hereby dedicates the end of watch date and all anniversaries by flying all flags at half-staff on January 31st, beginning in 2024. Be it further proclaimed that I, Scott Robertson, Mayor, City of Selma, offers on behalf of our city and council our utmost appreciation and gratitude to a true public servant, the man and police officer Gonzalo Carrasco. May you rest in eternal peace. Would Gonzalo Sr. please come up? And his brother Christopher, please come up so I can present this proclamation to you. Chief. Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. In addition to that proclamation, I thank you for your recognition of Officer Gonzalo Carrasco, who's just a great man, a great human being. His smile will be missed. We know that his family is suffering, and we just want them to know that we'll be with them forever, and they will eternally be a part of the Selma Police Department family. So we want to thank them for being here tonight. With that, I'll make this short for the family. In front of us, we have some action to possibly be taken with your approval and my recommendation, your approval. As we've navigated this tragedy, I spent a lot of time speaking with our employees, the men and women of the Selma Police Department, and the family of Officer Carrasco, and how we would memorialize such a great human being and such a great man and everything that he stood for. And in doing so, and speaking to some of my brothers and sisters and peers in the profession, we came up with this rendition of how we would do so and what that would mean to us, those men and women that go out every day and put their lives on the line to protect many strangers at time and just protect our community. It's something symbolic, not just to the city of Selma, but throughout our communities across the nation. And what I'll present to you is what we would like to do, the men and women of the Selma Police Department and the Carrasco family, to memorialize with this great human being. In front of you, this is a plaque. It's granite, will be etched in. And I love the fact that it's etched in stone, because stone is eternal. It's everlasting. It's strong. It goes through the ages. And that's what this monument means to us. And what it says is, a man may die, nations may rise and fall, but an idea lives on. What that means to us is that Officer Carrasco, what the men and women do of the Selma Police Department, is much bigger than any one of us individually. It's an idea that lasts throughout the ages. Thus, the necessity to memorialize that in stone. In honor of the sacrifices made every day by police officers and respect for the ultimate sacrifice of Selma Police Department, Officer Gonzalo Carrasco. If I can move to the next frame. This plaque would be memorialized on a 3-ton granite boulder, which is, it just says strength, power, eternity, that it will last through the ages. Something that falls in line with the quote that John F. Kennedy made many years ago, that what we do is bigger than any one of us individually. It's something that we do for the next era and generation of officers and for the officers that came before us. It's that idea that and by putting it on rock, that will memorialize such a great young man. If we can move to the next slide. Our plan is to memorialize it right here in front of our police department to the south. I call it the south part of the building as you walk up. And that rock being in the middle with the seating bench and the greenery behind it, you know, we'd be very specific in putting certain bushes that are evergreens because they're green all year long. And that green embodies life. Because though Gonzalo is not with us anymore in body, he will always be with us in spirit. It's right outside of the police department. So this way it would be much more convenient for the family to know where to go every January 31st as we honor Gonzalo for not just his brothers and sisters in law enforcement, but more importantly, his family. We understand the community has other ideas and ways they'd love to support Gonzalo, and we're very honored that we're seeing that support. However, this is just something that at the police department we would much appreciate to do, to remind us of what we do every day and remind us that Gonzalo will always be with us. Currently we're not asking for any funds, just permission to place this memorial on the property, on the site of the Selma Police Department. And this is just an initial rendition, but we've already had so many community members offer their support to be able to facilitate such a great monument and memorial for this young man. So we're extremely excited. Additionally, this is something that we don't have to buy the land. We can do, my plan is to have this created by the end of August, which gives us time before January 31st of 2024 to actually conduct that memorial service. And it would be a very much more convenient for the family, especially if we get another weather event such as we just had in 2023. So we can actually try to get some coverage for the family. Additionally, if we had to block off the roadway in front of the police department, it's much easier to control and contain for the safety of all those that want to come and honor this great young man. And that's, unless anyone has any questions.
Council want to make any comments?
I'd like to make a comment. Thank you. This is a beautiful presentation, and it's unbelievable. It's nicer than I didn't expect. This is beautiful. A la familia les quiero pedir pues, ¿qué le podemos decir? Nosotros todos estamos en lo mismo, como ustedes lo piensan. Ustedes son familiares de nosotros y les pedimos todo lo que hemos hecho, lo que han hecho, y lo que yo le digo a todos es, Gonzalo estaba aquí para servir la comida y todos nosotros necesitamos servir para él, y les pido que nunca se olvidan de lo que estaba haciendo, porque él estaba haciendo muy gran cosas, y nosotros estamos aquí tan para servir, pero le queremos decir que esto va a enseñar que está para la familia y para estar por nosotros. Por eso les digo gracias. Pero primero le decía, qué bueno que están aquí para Selma, pero están aquí por algo no que es, pero esto se mira muy bonito, y les digo, ojalá que puedan venir a visitar, a mirarlo, porque eso es la gracia que le vamos a estar dando. Son eso les digo que por favor nunca se olvidan de vamos a servir para él.
Chief, I would just like to say that is just a beautiful monument, and I think you hit it right on the nail. That's beautiful, and it's beautiful because it's going to be with this lifetime. And I also want to say to the familia Carrasco, su hijo también era hijo de nosotros. Lo queremos mucho. Como él es familia de ustedes, familia de nosotros aquí en Selma. Y con eso vamos a tener los memories muchos años. Los vamos a mirarlo toda la vez. So, gracias por dejándolo que esté con nosotros también.
Chief, this is just beyond like what I think we could have imagined. It's just very beautiful, very peaceful. And, you know, it's commemorating him in the best way possible to everyone's going to see him, you know, when they walk in. Para la familia, ese dolor es algo que nunca esperábamos. Uno nunca espera ir a sepultar a sus hijos. Uno espera que el padre es el que va a sepultar primero. Los hijos nos van a sepultar primero. Pero el dolor que les queda a ustedes es muy grande y no hay palabras para decirles cuánto nos duele también a nosotros y no hay consuelo suficiente para ustedes. Pero con la gracia de Dios, Él está con ustedes y todo el tiempo van a estar con sus recuerdos. Y Él tenía un propósito más grande de lo que nosotros esperábamos aquí. Sus sueños de Él eran más grandes que lo que Él esperaba y Dios tenía un plan mucho más grande para Él porque unió a una comunidad, no nada más esta comunidad, sino que la nación. Unió a la nación y tuvimos mucha gente que han estado aquí orando por ustedes y siguen orando por ustedes. Y son mis más sinceros pésame para usted y su familia.
I'd like to thank the Selma community and everybody, the staff and everybody. They got united, and we all, from the bottom of our hearts, wish the Orozco family best wishes for your future. Thank you.
And I'd just like to add that for the Carrasco family, lo siento mucho por su partito. And I also wanted to communicate what Officer Carrasco's godfather, his Nino, told me, which is you can really honor Officer Carrasco by this. This is amazing. And the family is very overwhelmed by this. But his Nino also mentioned that you can honor the officer by protecting the officers in the future and training the officers and doing the very best that this never happens again to another officer in Selma. City Manager, did you want to say anything?
Yes, thank you, Chief, for this amazing gesture. A la familia de Oficial Carrasco, no he tenido la oportunidad de expresarles mi sentido pésame. Gonzalo hizo un sacrificio, el máximo sacrificio, y la comunidad de Selma es mejor ahora por el sacrificio que él hizo. Esta es una manera muy pequeña en la que lo podemos mantener en la memoria de nosotros, pero siempre vamos a recordar lo que hizo por la comunidad y quiero que sepan ustedes que su familia, su hijo de Gonzalo siempre van a estar bienvenidos aquí en la ciudad de Selma, siempre van a estar en nuestros corazones y cualquier cosa que se les ofrezca, por favor, que no les dé pena contactarnos porque siempre ustedes van a ser familia de nosotros por el sacrificio y todo que hizo Gonzalo por la comunidad. Pero espero que este detalle pueda al menos un poco ayudar a mantener esa memoria de Gonzalo viva y no es lo único que vamos a hacer. Tenemos mucho más planeado para mantenerlo en nuestra memoria. And just with that, Council, I would just like to add to Chief Alcaraz's presentation that this is just really a starting point. This is what we can do immediately to honor Officer Carrasco's memory. I think we've already started the conversation about what longer term sort of memorial we can do for him. But I think Chief's wish and the department's wish was to have something that we can have ready for the 1-year anniversary that can be done very quickly so that we can gather everyone. But certainly this does not preclude a further conversation on what else we can do in honor of Officer Carrasco. So thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Okay. And with that, we're going to continue our meeting. If the family, the Carrasco family would like to stick around, you are very welcome. Stick around. Otherwise, if you have other places to be or you want to go whenever you would like to go, please feel free. And thank you so much for coming out, gracing us with your presence. And with that, we'll give the family some time and we'll take a 5-minute break.
Thank you. We want to take this opportunity during oral communications to very happily introduce our latest addition to our team, Deputy City Manager Jerome Keene. Jerome is a very highly respected professional in his field, in the field of planning. He comes to us directly from Century Communities, is it nationwide home builder? And so with a lot of experience in development and especially housing, but prior to that, he was with QK, where he served among many roles as contract city planner with the city of Delano. And so he's actually the one who trained our current contract city planner, Trevor Stern. So the dynamic and the professionalism that he brings to the team is fantastic. And so wanted to introduce him and welcome him to the City of Selma family, as well as his beautiful fiance, Erica, and his brand new baby, Jackson. Thank you for choosing to be part of the City of Selma. And Jerome, if you'd like to say a few words.
I mean, some of the things you said, I looked around. I don't know who you were talking about, but I'm excited. I'm looking forward. Fernando has a great vision for the city. He's a dynamic leader. I don't know if I would be here without him. So I want to give him his kudos as well. But as Fernando said, I view, development services as a, three-legged stool. And I've been lucky enough to do regulatory. I've been lucky enough to be the technical advisor as a consultant and also the developer. So I can speak from all sides of the table, so to speak, in terms of how should we get this done as a city versus how can we work with development to finish their project. So as Fernando said, they're excited, I'm excited, and I just couldn't be happier with the current situation as we sit. So we got a lot of things in the queue that I'm looking forward at getting my hands on, and I've hit the ground running, so to speak. So just very excited and look forward to working with all of you.
Welcome, Jerome.
Oh, and Fernando, ninth largest home builder. My former boss, Dennis Gabe, would be upset if I didn't say ninth largest home builder. Yeah.
All right, very good. With that, we will move on to oral communications, which we skipped in order to have our first special presentation. And we're going to say at this time, any member of the public may address the city council regarding any item over which the council has jurisdiction. No action or discussion will be taken on any item not on the agenda. Issues raised will be referred to the city manager for review. Members of the public are asked to limit their remarks to 3 minutes. In order to limit the liability of the city, please direct your comments at the city council, not any city staff. Does anyone have anything they would like to say tonight at this time? Come on up.
Hello, my name is James Pantoya, and I'm here to talk about the three duplexes you're willing to build on Nebraska and Mitchell. I'm here to say I would like them not to be built and it just be a single home. On that street on Mitchell, you're asking to have an opening where the street alone is very narrow and barely 2 cars can fit, and having an entrance coming in and out on Mitchell Street will be hazardous, and the kids walking on that sidewalk, they'll be they'll be blocked. You won't be able to see them coming in and out. As well as on Nebraska, there is no sidewalk for those kids to walk. Coming Nebraska west from the apartments, there's just sidewalk, and then they have to go around and walk on the street. That already is hazardous. People driving through on Nebraska to say to AM, PM or down, they run through that crosswalk. Even the cross lady had mentioned they have no awareness of who's driving, who's walking, who's not. On that street, in 1991, my dad came in here asking for the sidewalk and the lights to be built. It took 25 years for that sidewalk to be built. If you're gonna build another sidewalk to extend the street on Mitchell, it's probably gonna take another 25 years. I don't want hope. I want rather, instead of 3 duplexes, just a house be built there. I understand you have families that want to live there. It means more housing, but with the economy, it's going to be what, 1,200 per to 1,600 maybe per unit. That means more people are going to need to be live there. You already have 13 car spaces. And then if it's going to cost that much, you're going to have more people living in those instead of just a regular 2-person family. So then where are they going to park? They're going to park on Nebraska, where they may get broken into, or are they going to park on Mitchell, where it's just housing? And it's very narrow. You can't really park there. 2 days after we had the meeting, the very first meeting in what, January or February, I took pictures. I wish I would have sent them. I'll try and send them later. Some person was parked in the street waiting, which I assumed was for their kids, but they were waiting for someone, and they parked right where the entrance would be to said that entrance for the 3 duplexes.
Thanks a lot for your comments, James. Appreciate it. If anyone else who would like to say anything during oral communications at this time?
Good evening. My name is Letitia Corral, and it is concerning that 3 duplex that's getting built in that corner of Mitchell and Nebraska. My concern is congestion. There's going to be more traffic with the homes that were built way further down on Mitchell. We already have people speeding and not stopping at the stop signs. And then we have children who are walking, from school. It's going to get too congested. People already just passing that stop sign. They're not even stopping, and it's getting worse and worse now. And with the duplex, it's going to make things more complex, more traffic, and more people trying to park. And that road is you can't even fit a car to park. So, having them come in and out, it's too close to the stop sign. Coming in and out is not going to work either. And that's the concern we have. And then plus, it's all that street is just homes. It's not apartments or complex, It don't make sense to me. But we need the safety of our students that come from Eric White, and they walk down, and if you have openings there, a lot of students go by there, and the traffic is getting worse and worse now. It's like a freeway. They speed up quickly, and especially with those homes down the street, it's going to make it worse because it's a small single street. It's not wide enough for anybody to even park, even on my side. They want to park, you can't. Somebody has to go around them or on the side. You can't park on the side of the sidewalk. That's my main concern, congestion and safety for the public too. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Letitia. Appreciate it. Anybody else have any comments at this time? No?
Good evening, Mayor Robertson, Council. Michael Rivera on behalf of Waste Management, along with my colleagues Liz Gomez and Brian Rogers. I'm here today because we are here to request an opportunity to discuss WM's future in providing safe and reliable solid waste services to the city of Selma. And I say this because it's come to our attention that the city is moving aggressively in the direction of an RFP. This is particularly troubling to us since we have not heard from this elected body that this is the direction of the future, so to speak, for the services that we provide. It bears repeating that in the time that WM has been servicing the city of Selma, we've been responsive partners, we've been patient, we've been reliable, and we've tried to provide solutions to some of the legislation that's out there facing us today. And with that, all we would really like is the opportunity to discuss what that future looks like together, so that all of us in this partnership are on the same page as to what the future looks like and the opportunities at hand for us all. That's all I have.
Thanks for your comments.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Come on up, sir.
Good evening. My name is Harvey Singh. I just want to respond to SKF. Was it SKF Western Waste, right?
Waste
Waste
management.
management, yeah. We have a plot next to Dwight right there where the legends are. It's an empty lot. It has no home. And every year, your city manager or some staff member would always take my property tax bill and talk to these people, the very people who are wanting cooperation from the city, and tell them, look, Mr. Singh has that lot. There's no home. There's no reason you should be sending Harvey Singh a trash bill. And so we go through that trial and horse and pony show, and then finally we get relief and we get it taken off. You can come and ask all you want to, and you can tell the city that incorporate us or work with us, but you also have a certain obligation. They do. When Harvey Singh has told them for 4 years in a row that there's no house, it's just an empty lot, and it shouldn't be on my tax roll, and it should never show up, and they haven't taken it off. So I want to give the gentleman an opportunity after I speak to you folks later on when I step outside, show him my tax bill if that's the case, and have it permanently taken off. If I ever build a house on that, the city will be the first one to know. This guy's here will be the second one to know. This is not the reason I came here. I came here for another matter, but he happened to take the floor, so I wanted to let him know that they have to be a little bit more proactive with the citizens themselves to show some good faith, okay? Thank you.
Come on up.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and staff. Liz Gomez with Waste Management. I just want to take this opportunity to respond to Mr. Singh. We do not bill on the tax roll. That is done by the city. That is not our role or responsibility. We've talked to the city about perhaps maybe working with them in the future on that particular aspect of the billing. So we do not attach anything to an invoice, a bill. That strictly comes from the city, and that is also a city requirement that even a parcel is supposed to be, I guess, identified as somebody who has service. So that's something that we have talked to the city about, and we are working with them on. But again, it's not something that we have, said, okay, this is what you need to do in Selma. This is the requirements that are already in place, and we are the provider of that service, but the billing and why it's there is beyond what we do as a company. We're just there to provide the service where we're told where it's supposed to be, or if it's not to be there, or working with the city on those types of specifics when it comes to invoicing and working with customers.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? Do we have anybody online or on Zoom? Like to say anything?
Honorable Mayor and City Council, my name is Miguel Ramirez. I am the Public Affairs Manager for SoCal Gas here for Tulare, Kings, and Fresno counties. I am here to provide an update on the price of natural gas, which has been historically high in recent months. We want to share that the market prices for natural gas continue to drop, driving a more than 80% decrease in SoCal Gas's March procurement rates from January's high. SoCal Gas estimates average residential March bills should be $100 lower than the January's average of $300. SoCal Gas does not set the price for natural gas. Instead, natural gas prices are determined by national regional markets. SoCal Gas buys natural gas in those markets on behalf of residential and small business customers, and the cost of buying that gas is billed with no markup, meaning SoCal Gas does not profit from the movement of the gas commodity. Recently, the CPUC approved an acceleration of the California climate credit. That's $50.77. Most of you probably already got it in February. If not, it should be you should be receiving it this month. SoCal Gas is also delaying collection activities on overdue residential accounts and will not disconnect overdue residential customers until further notice. We continue to inform and offer several ways to help low-income qualified customers through our bill and home improvement assistance programs, bill forgiveness plan, and level pay program. SoCalGas recently also announced a $10 million in shareholder funding to provide additional relief to low-income families, seniors, small restaurant owners impacted by the unprecedented regional natural gas markets. The $10 million is split up this way. $5 million will go for the Gas Assistance Fund, a program administered by United Way that will help low-income customers throughout our region. $4 million will go to Relaunch Fueling Our Communities, a collaborative program with local food banks and nonprofits. And then $1 million will go into the Restaurant Cares Resilience Fund to help small restaurants with improvements, upgrades, employee retention, and manage debt. For more information, please visit our website at socalgas.com. We continue to encourage customers to reduce energy bills with the few simple, effective tips. Lower your thermostat 3 to 5 degrees, wash clothes in cold water, reduce the temperature on their water heater to a setting of 120 degrees. Limit the use of non-essential natural gas appliances such as spas, pool heaters, and fireplaces. If you or a member of the community have any questions, please reach out to me directly. Thank you again and have a good night.
Thanks for your advice, Miguel. Anybody else? Okay, with that, we will conclude oral communications and move back to special presentations. And we will now have our retirement appreciation for Don Calhoun.
Good evening, Mayor, fellow council. I'd like to bring up Donald Calhoun, if I can. Back over here. So Don started with the city in September as an hourly employee in the parks department. On July 1st, he was hired as a full-time employee in the maintenance of parks. He was the first one to arrive, last one to leave, always made sure that the facility was open for his coworkers and locked up at the end of the day. Always got along with his coworkers. And it's a short time I've been here. He's been great to work with. He was always in a good mood, always telling me jokes in the morning. A lot of time on Friday afternoons, we were the only ones left when the other staff left. It's been a pleasure for me to work with Don. When the department needed him most, he volunteered to work on the weekends, moving from his normal 5-day-a-week weekday shift to working weekends when we needed the staffing to cover restrooms and do custodial work. So my pleasure to work with Don the short time I've been here. And if you'd like to add anything to that.
Yeah, sure. I was first hired in September of 2002. I was 45 years old. I thought it was a little late to start another career. But my son, who has the same name as me, back at that time, you could fill out an interest card. And if a job opening comes up, they give you a call. Well, they gave my son a call. He told me, Dad, I don't want that job. Why don't you try for it? At that time, I was working for Kmart for 18 years. I was 45. What should I do? So I took a chance. Here I am, 20 years later. And all my fellow employees, including all the staff here, well, it was great working with everyone. They called me the old timer because the people I was hired with are no longer here. I'm the last one. So I said, it's time to go. So I was born on March 10th of 1958. I retired March 10th, 2023. And that's all I got. I'd like to thank every people that in City Hall here. Sometimes you get you get left behind or you don't get recognized. Thanks, appreciate it. Brandon? I'm done.
Like to present, I'd like to present Don with a plaque and a watch that's engraved with his years of service in his name.
Awesome.
Great. Yeah.
Understand? Right. With that, we will shake Don's hand. A well-deserved handshake. Hey, you're a Navy guy like me. Come on.
Congratulations.
With that, we will move on to our road construction project updates from California Department of Transportation, otherwise known as Caltrans.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Elizabeth Yelton. I'm a Public Information Officer for Caltrans District 6. We're here today to give our updates on our latest project that is going through the area. It's the State Route 99 Selma to Fowler Rehabilitation Project. Project limits go from McCall Avenue undercrossing in Selma to the Merced Street undercrossing in Fowler. Next slide, please. Limits of work, once again, McCall Avenue undercrossing in Selma to the Merced Street undercrossing in Fowler. The start of construction on this project began in July of 2021. Our estimated completion date at this time is January of 2024. The north half of the project in the city of Fowler is constructed, and currently we are headed into stages, stage 5 and stage 6 will follow.
Excuse me, Ms. Yeltsin, could we get this emailed to the council? This
Absolutely.
presentation?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, and then into stage 6. For stage 5 and stage 6, the separate steps that are listed on the next few slides, I do have our staff member Brent Harrelson here. He is happy to take over and explain what is going to happen in each of those stages and answer any questions.
Thank
you. Good evening. My name is Brent Harrelson. I'm construction engineer on this project. I've been on it since the beginning. So currently, as Elizabeth alluded to, we've completed the work on the north half of the project and we're moving into the southern half, which is into the city of Selma limits. So to begin with, in a few weeks, we'll be starting on phase 1. Phase 1 is a short phase of stage 5 where we're just going to be doing some work in the median on near 2nd Street. We're going to be removing a sign structure as well as demoing a small portion of the barrier. And then we'll be removing and replacing a little bit of that barrier. At that stage and phase, there will be no ramp closures. The duration, as you can see, is approximately 2 to 3 weeks. I think we're on my laser pointer here might help. So then after we complete this short phase, we're going to move into phase 2, which is approximately a 2 to 3 month duration. At that time, we're going to be shifting traffic. So this will be northbound 99 construction work. Northbound lanes 1 and 2 will be shifted over on the other side of the median barrier. And then the third lane will be staying on the existing northbound, but on the median side between K-rail. Southbound lanes will be merged from 3 lanes down to 2 through these limits. We will be closing, first off, we'll be closing the northbound off-ramp to 43 and Floral. And at the same time, we'll be closing the on-ramp from Floral to 99. These will have a detour, which I'll show you in the next slide.
We will also be encouraging truck traffic to be exiting 99 at Mountain View to limit the amount of traffic that will be going through the detour. We will then complete the work for this phase, which includes the removal and replacement of the concrete pavement to a 40-year pavement, which is reinforced concrete. And then as we conclude this phase, we'll reopen those ramps that were closed for this phase and then continue on to phase 3, which is a shorter duration. This phase is really only to fill in the gaps for those ramp closures. So what we'll do for phase 3 will be we'll close the northbound on-ramp from 43, which is that loop ramp. And keep in mind that the floral ramp will be opened at that point. We will also close the 2nd Street on-ramp to northbound as well at that time, so that we can complete the pavement sections in both of those limits right there. Once we complete this work, which could be expected to be up to 2 months, we'll then reopen all the ramps for northbound. Next slide, please. So this just shows a general plan view of the areas where the detours will be in place. So as you can read, the Floral Avenue on-ramp, when it's closed to northbound 99, the detour will be going north and then onto Golden State and then entering onto Manning. Obviously, traffic can take alternate routes, including 2nd Street if they chose, but that's the signed detour. When the northbound off-ramp to Floral is closed, the detour will be to exit onto 2nd Street and then continue north to Floral limits. Slide, please. So then for the stage 5, phase 3, which is when we close the loop ramp, as shown right here. When the loop ramp is closed, the detour will be going north on Highland or 43, and then taking the Floral on-ramp to 99. So that detour is a shorter detour. And again, this route, this phase of this stage is a shorter phase because it's only encompassing this area right here. Next slide, please. So this just shows you some of the detour signages that will be in place all along the route. So as I mentioned before, this is just an example of when the northbound off-ramp was closed to Floral. So same signage will be up for this route, for this detour as for the other ones. Once these ramps are opened, then we'll have additional signage for the next phase. And there will be changeable message signs on 99 in advance, as well as at the ramps to notify the public of the upcoming closures. Those signs will be up approximately 14 days or more in advance to notify the public of these changes. Next slide, please. So when we move into stage 6, this will be the completion of the work for northbound. We'll be switching onto the southbound side of 99. In the beginning on phase 1, we will be closing the on-ramp from 43 and Floral, and then also closing the 2nd Street off-ramp. At that time, we will also have southbound traffic will be crossing over, similar to the other stage. This is just kind of a mirrored image. So the lanes 1 and 2 will cross over the median, and then lane 3 will stay on the southbound inside shoulder. And then northbound will merge from 3 lanes down to 2 lanes in the vicinity of this work. Then removing and replacing the existing pavement will occur. After that's completed and cured out, then the ramps will be reopened. Then moving into phase 2, which is a shorter duration, about 2 months. We will, after those ramps are open, we will close the southbound off-ramp to State Route 43, as well as the Floral Avenue, which is on the same path as the other ramp. Then we'll replace the pavement in that section and restripe everything and then reopen the southbound lanes. Slide. So this is, again, another vicinity map, which is showing the detours for this location. So the detours for second to advance myself, apologize. So when we close the Floral off-ramp, I'm sorry, pushed the wrong button. So they'll have the same similar detour as was shown on the northbound for the southbound. So when Floral is closed, traffic will be able to exit
on Manning and go south onto Golden State, or will be able to pass through Floral and exit onto Second Street and making their way back through 43 to this location. This is just a sample of the closures that are shown for the 43 on-ramp. So when the 43 on-ramp is closed, traffic will go north on 43 and then use the detour onto Golden State to come down to Second Street and then get onto 99 from there. All of these stages, actually, go to the next slide, I guess. And this was the other map for the other closure, as I already talked about. Traffic will, when Floral is closed for the off-ramp, traffic will be detoured onto Golden State and then come back down to Floral on Highland there. So the tentative start date for this stage 5 work, which is the northbound reconstruction, currently is slated for April 2nd. But as we've been experiencing a large amount of rain recently, it's been pushing our framework there in our construction window. So if everything stays, it will likely begin on April 2nd, at which time we have not slated to close any of the ramps at that time. That's the beginning of the phase 1, which is the median work. This stage 5 is estimated to be completed around the end of summer or in August of 2023. And then we will quickly move into stage 6 to be able to wrap it up by the end of the year. Just a few highlights on ways to be able to help the traveling public stay safe through this project work zone. The project has a truck mounted changeable message sign to be able to alert traffic during lane closures when queuing may occur. That's to help prevent and minimize rear end collisions. It also has an automated queue system, which displays messages based on the speed of traffic. So as traffic is flowing normally, it will read work ahead. As traffic begins to slow down to around 45 miles an hour, it says slow down. And then once traffic reaches 25 miles per hour, it will say traffic stopped. Those messages are again based on speeds with radars that receive that information as traffic is flowing through them. The contract also has a towing service, which is there during business hours in the morning and in the evening for those peak traffic hours. That helps to alleviate when cars break down in the right of way. And it takes them off their alignments and into the ramps for where they can be maintained. Also, some of the ramps have lighting upgrades being done to them. So when the lighting is taken offline, we'll have temporary lighting placed on generators out there on the project site. We're also partnering with CHP on the project to use our construction zone and forest enhancement protection out there. And they're assisting to maintain a calming effect because we've all seen traffic that speeds through our work zones. So CHP is there to help maintain a safe speed through the work zone, which is 55 miles per hour. With that, I will turn some time back to Elizabeth.
So the public information officer for Caltrans, I'm in charge of running social media contacts, reaching out to city partners, my counterparts as public information officers for counties, cities, and keeping good relationships. So as part of our efforts to be good partners with the cities and following communities, we do a consistent update. So every 2 weeks, my team and we have meetings to discuss what's going on, what are the updates, what are the changes. I take that information and then I put it into what we call a commuter alert. So I take all the technical terms and then I turn it into something that the public, it's easy to understand. I have my graphics design team design maps, so they're easy to read as well. That's part of our campaign outreach. I do post all of our commuter alerts on social media. If the respective cities or communities have any kind of social media points, I do try to tag them to make sure that we're in contact. I have been in contact with Ms. Reina Riviera lately, and we have been working together to share the information. Feels like we've definitely gained more strength together to spread word about to the community members. So we also do have a we do have a project website that we will be sharing. This is located down here in that bottom left-hand corner. There are the maps, the current commuter alerts, and then any kind of questions that people may have generally can be answered by that website. It is kind of a fact sheet that'll tell you what the work is, what's taking place, and what the end goal is. My contact information is located right there as well. I do have a handful of business cards for anyone who may be interested. And with that, this concludes our presentation unless anyone has any questions from the council.
Council have any questions for Elizabeth regarding this upcoming project?
Yes.
So I have a question for you. So the rain has pushed everything back. It was gonna start April 2nd. How much delayed has it been? I mean, if it keeps supposed to rain tomorrow again, what's the ballpark for when this is actually gonna kick off?
That would be a Brent or Chris question.
Thank you. At this point, it's not substantial delays. So really, once they can dry out the pavement, they're able to continue and resume work. They're currently paving against the median barrier right now. And so you might see some of their equipment as you're driving up and down the route. So they're removing about 3 inches of asphalt against the median barrier between the new concrete, just to level that shoulder, that shoulder right now.
And the
We
initial
think it'll be
phase
just
is,
days. It won't be like weeks.
the initial phase is no closure,
Correct.
and that's northbound. You're working on the northbound.
It's actually in the median, that first phase. So traffic will not be shifted or anything during that first phase of the work. So they'll stay on the current configuration they're in now, and the contractor will work just near Second Street and remove an overhead sign in the median. And then they're gonna have to demo a portion of that concrete barrier to remove that sign.
Then it will go to the northbound.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. We'll ask for questions from the public. I know there are business owners, folks with events that are very concerned about these closures that have questions. I would invite anybody to come forward at this point who has questions for Caltrans.
Thanks, Council. Paul Sahota with the Sikh Temple. And we just learned about it today around 2 p.m. that there's possible conflict. We have our annual Evergeethan Parade on April 16th. And then we learned that Caltrans is possibly closing some roads or some off ramps. And we huddled up and we're here today. And I've got a good overview of what the gentleman showed. So the question from my side is, right now they're evening out the middle northbound so they can move 2 lanes over so they can pay. But the question we have, or where it's going to conflict with us, if it's on the 16th, which is a Sunday, and we have the Floral Avenue off ramp will be closed, and traffic coming off of at Second Street. So if a trucker or somebody's got a delivery to, let's say, I don't have to say Martin, somewhere on Golden State, and our parade route brings us on Rose, then we cross right there at Golden State and back and forth. I would see that as a possible bottleneck on that. I know it's a Sunday, but still traffic's there. And I think majority of us are here because of seeing if we could, if this thing's gonna take longer than 2 weeks anyways, then it's a moot point because they're gonna divert the traffic over. So that's, I think, Harvey, if you got any other comments, but that's our main concern. And we have an application submitted with Caltrans, and I don't know where that process is yet or how it's going to conflict with what the construction's going on 99. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sahota.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, council member, and all the related staff here from the city, especially to the chief of police. No se puede. No se puede, hermano. Follow up what Paul was saying, with all due respect, having fun with the chief, nevertheless. With what Paul just said, it obviously we've had a very good working relationship, first of all, with the city for all those years that the parade has gone on. It's comparable to your Easter festivities. So anybody who's not used to our customs or religion, it's comparable. It's the birth of our religion. We celebrate that, except the COVID years we were not able to. Now things are opening up, we're opening up, society's opening up. And we're looking forward to a lot of people. Obviously, if it doesn't rain, if it rained, then it may be a less merry situation, but be a situation just the same. And we expect, I think, upwards to about an influx of 10 to 15,000 in that one day on that weekend. Obviously, it's good for the prosperity of the town and all that. That all said, we're not here discussing that. We're here discussing what the road implications is going to be if Caltrans shuts that down on the 16th. So I had a conversation with this gentleman, Mike, and asked him if it's possible. Mother Nature may help us anyway, and I hope she does. She's been helping us all this time. And so she might delay the project herself. But if Mother Nature cooperates and the weather cooperates, we want to know if Caltrans and us can come together and at least forestall the shutting down of Floral northbound, from what I was told by Michael. And tell me if I'm wrong, Michael, please let me know if I misstate anything. The southbound traffic is going to flow normally. Most of the people come from Fresno north, no problem. The people who might come from Bakersfield, Delano, Tulare, those people are going to be affected. And what Paul said, if you do have a bottleneck, if everybody's getting off on 2nd Street, then the police and CHP shuts down 43 heading north, but from Nebraska, all of a sudden we have a situation there that we didn't plan for with a lot of light. And then on top of that, it just be frustrating. And that's an understatement when I use the word frustrating. It'll be frustrating for us. It'll be frustrating for the chief. It'll be frustrating for all and everybody involved. I don't think it'd be dangerous. It'd be just an inconvenience, but it's one thing to have 25,000 people in the town. Next thing you have another 10, 15,000 all in that same town. It becomes very problematic. So we're here wanting to talk to Caltrans, whether it's Liz, Paul, and the other gentleman. I'm sorry, I apologize. I don't remember your name. Brent. Good English name. And so we want to be able to work with them, and we want them to hear us. That's why we're all here. This is not some Johnny-come-lately situation. You've held the parade here locally for about almost 28 years. So
Thank you, Mr.
we want to
Singh.
see what we can do to work with each other to hopefully forestall the shutting down of the lane. Okay.
Thanks for your comments. And just as a point of clarification, does that traffic plan go back to the temple, or does it go to the city, and the city then meets with the city manager or to the deputy city manager to discuss the flow of traffic?
The traffic plan that's within the city limits that impacts the city roads goes to us. The traffic plan that's out in the Caltrans right of way is approved by Caltrans.
Okay. And to what extent will the Caltrans work affect or impede or affect the city traffic plan?
Well, it wouldn't impede. I mean, we've been having discussions with the chief and other staff about how to best balance
Interact.
both aspects of
Yeah.
it. Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Fernando.
So it sounds like there's interaction between all the spheres here, between the temple, between the city, and between Caltrans. So it's going to be really important to stay on the same page.
Yeah, I will speak for the temple. I personally am not personally involved with Fernando on this matter. My brother-in-law, Surrender Gill, who's out vacationing was or is, and then Ninder Gill, her uncle, is involved in this matter. Mrs. Gill's here. And so they're the ones who stay in touch and do that. But if need be, I will get in touch with Fernando, obviously ASAP tomorrow morning, and see what we can do to get all of this tied in, looped into the same.
Right. Mr. Singh, I think coordination is key
Yeah,
on this.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just
This
asking
is a first
for
step tonight to make
one
sure
day,
that everybody's
one day. Yeah.
gotcha, for everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, we're all, we prayed a lot for rain, so be grateful for that. So give us one day, okay?
You're not the only one. Anybody else have any comments at this time?
White Nelson, Selma Automall. Thank you. We had specifically requested that this meeting be able to take place with all the business owners that are involved at that intersection so that we could have some real quality time with Caltrans. But I understand what you're doing. I just don't agree with it. But with that said, it's my understanding that the road work that's being done is being done because of the damage that's been caused to the freeway by truck traffic and what have you over the number of years. That's what's going on. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Press the
That might help a little bit. I guess my concern is on the southbound traffic. And that is there any way that they can close the Floral Avenue exit and leave 43 exit southbound open? And then when time comes, switch it so that they're not closing all of southbound traffic at one time. There are two exits off the freeway going southbound, Highway 43 and Floral. And if one could be left open somehow by the way they adjust the traffic, that would at least allow Floral Avenue to have the possibility of still receiving southbound traffic from Fresno, Madera, the northern part of the county, because that's where the majority of our traffic comes from. On northbound, there's only one exit. We get it, we understand that, and somehow we'll have to work around it. What concerns me about the northbound closure of that exit is the traffic that will dump on to Second Street and where it's going to go and how it's going to get there. And with the truck traffic that's on 99, we all know how much truck traffic there is, and it's going to totally be a mess. So our concern is people that are going northbound get off on Second. How do they get over to the Auto Mall, to the restaurants, to Walmart, to the Farney's Auto Group, to any of that area there? How do they get there? And it's going to have to be going west on Second Street to Nebraska, then Nebraska to Highway 43, and then north on Highway 43. So their event's going to be a major problem if that northbound lane is closed on April 16th, August, when is it? April 16th. It's going to be a total disaster. And so my question is, how much effort is the city going to be putting into trying to do traffic control when this is all going on? And that's my concern. Again, we'd asked for a meeting to get a lot of these business owners together. We understand a lot of them, work today, had to go home tonight. I get it. I stayed. But I just would request if there's any possible way of having that meeting with Caltrans. I've offered my restaurant as location for free to come and sit and allow the different business owners to see if we can figure out a plan B, because right now it's going to be a major, major impact, not only on the business, but if it shuts business down. And basically you're southbound, what you're going to do is southbound is going to shut business down. There's no doubt about it.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comments.
Teresa Salas, 1701 Danube Avenue. I have a question for Caltrans. Actually, on the slides, he mentioned the size of the signs, the electric signs that we're going to be telling people about the detours way ahead of time. When Fowler was closed and you were having to get off in Fowler because Manning Avenue was closed. My mom lives just right off of Manning Avenue. There was no detour sign. We were all, my brothers and sisters, because we all come regularly to my mom's, and we were all having to go all the way to Floral because we were not notified that Manning Avenue was closed. So instead of getting off in Fowler and going around and getting back to Manning Avenue, that was not a possibility for us at that point because there was no signs there. And then when a sign finally did get put up, it was a little tiny one. So if you weren't looking for it, if you didn't know that that sign was there, you could still miss it and still miss the Manning Avenue being closed and end up in Selma instead of being able to get off in Fowler. So that's my concern as far as how big are those signs going to be, and are they going to be placed in strategic locations so that people can see them and get off the freeway in time.
Thank you. Anybody else with any concerns at this time? Do we have anybody on Zoom or online or on the phone who would like to say anything? Okay, thank you. With that, we'll bring the matter back to council. This is a special presentation, so there is no vote. Does council have any input at this time?
I do. I just have a quick question for Brett.
You said the first phase was going to take about possibly 2 to 3 weeks. So there wouldn't be any closure, any exit closure. So their event is April 16th. So possibly it's not even going to affect them anyways. More likely, right? If we're talking 2 to 3 weeks, it's going to put them over. So it may not even affect their parade. Is that correct?
Yes, that's a highly likely possibility that there will not be an impact.
So then your phase 2 that goes in, so possibly we'll be talking about, maybe now we're into the month of May. Is that correct? Where now we have to consider probably the closure of the exits. Is that right? Okay. All I have.
Question, why did the Manning project take so long? Were there delays on that? I mean, what happened there?
Yes, there were substantial delays, mostly due to procurement issues and due to the pandemic, the supply chain was severely hampered. Materials couldn't be brought in for months, unfortunately.
Are we looking at the same kind of delays for this one?
No, it appears that the supply chain's gotten much better and the contractors also accelerated their work. So you should be seeing a lot of their concrete cure times coming way down as well. So they've definitely made a lot of efforts to accelerate this job because they want to get it done too.
So best case, what would be from the median part to the southbound work? How long could this take?
For this whole next 2 stages,
The whole
we're
project?
anticipating 8 to 10 months.
Okay. And the median work is a few weeks. Will it be evenly split between north and south? 4 months here, 4 months there?
Pretty much, yeah. The vicinities are relatively the same.
And the question that popped up with me, or, this is a good starting point, but, it seems like the businesses are going to need that notification. They're going to need to know how to direct their customers to get there because they can still get there. Selma will not be closed, and we need to make that clear, and whatever we can do as a city and Caltrans to make that clear. I think the better for all of us and the more successful the project, and everybody comes away feeling much better. And it's truly a benefit all around. The traffic control, I think that's going to really be important, and the signs and how the city can assist with that too, in terms of traffic control. Because it sounds like there is going to be some potential snarls, especially at the beginning, before everybody really gets the hang of this, where to go and the detours. The detour signs, are they going to be big? They're going to be well lighted? Are these things that Caltrans has learned from the Manning project that they're going to be applying to the Selma project?
Yeah, so this is one and the same, but yes, we've definitely added some additional signage and utilizing more of the changeable message signs, which provide a lot more illumination to alert the drivers of what the conditions may be. And I believe Elizabeth alluded to, we do have periodic meetings where we invite, especially the EMS groups and our law enforcement, to participate so they understand a little more in detail about what's going to be happening in those stages. So we'd be more than happy to hold a special meeting to discuss those two.
That's great. So you'll be inviting not just public safety from Selma, but anybody from the business community too that wants to sit in. Is that correct? And anybody from the city?
When we do our partnering meetings, we generally stick with our EMS, so like our CHP or police chiefs, and then those members from the city is generally who we invite. We're giving them a heads up.
And then
so
the
they can
city
prep.
has the ability to go back and relate that message to
Absolutely.
the businesses and
Yeah.
stakeholders and
Yes.
the residents who are going to be inconvenienced by this.
Correct. And so when it comes to the information that was presented with like my contact, so all of our commuter alerts always have my name, my email, my phone number. As the public information officer, I welcome any phone calls, any questions. I know Raina has gotten a lot of questions. I invite the public, I invite business owners, share my name, share my number. That's what I'm there for. I want to make sure and bridge that gap in the communication. If you have questions about delays, if you have questions about what's the next step, if I don't know offhand, I will be willing to go ahead and research and get information for it and get back to you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. If we have no other input with that, we will conclude this. Thank you, everybody from Caltrans. Thank you, everybody from the Bridgewater for coming out tonight. And thank you, Mr. Nelson. Okay, with that, we will move on to departmental reports. City manager? Oh, shoot, we still have the consent calendar. A very big one tonight. Consent calendar, all items listed under the consent calendar category are considered routine. The complete consent calendar will be enacted by one motion by roll call vote. For purposes of discussion, any council member may have an item removed from the consent calendar and made part of the regular agenda. The council can then approve the remainder of the consent calendar. Does anybody have an item or items they would like to remove tonight from the consent calendar?
Mayor, I'd like to remove consent item. Well, it's the check register, so I'll just.
Number 7?
7.
Okay. Anybody else? Is there a motion to approve items 1 through 6?
I make a motion to approve 1 through 6.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho,
Yes.
Councilmember Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. All right, item 7.
Okay. Page number 32. And it's just one down or few down. It's check number 81365 for Wildian Engineering Building Inspector Service through January of 27-23 in the amount of 2,655. What was that for?
So we use Wildan Engineering as our backup building inspector when our staff building inspector is not available or has too many inspections.
Okay. I have a couple. Page 31 of 39, 81346, building cleanup at Cattleman's property. It's not a big item, just wondering why the city is doing the cleanup at Cattleman's.
Public Works Director, is that your item? I'm gonna have to follow up on that, Mayor, and follow up to the council with a memo.
Okay,
if that's
great. Thank you for that. And then, on to the Cal card. Item 1, Tom Duffy Company, primer, self-leveling concrete, CH renovations. What does CH stand for?
That is for the City Hall project.
City, behind us.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then Legends. Oh, we just had Mr. Nelson here. Legends, City Hall dinner. Was that the whole City Hall? Was that a get together awards dinner or what was it, just a team building?
Which item are you referring
Oh,
to?
sorry, that's page 34 of 39.
Oh,
Legends
in the-
Tap House City Hall dinner, 655.75.
Yeah, in the credit card,
Yeah, the credit card.
Cal card charges.
Yeah,
So that was immediately following Officer Carrasco's memorial service and burial. Staff got together at Tap House to just as kind of a staff gathering. Most of our staff who attended had not eaten the entire day, and so police department was there as well as City Hall staff. So that was just how they labeled that item.
I remember that evening very well. I remember going to that vigil too. Nobody ate that day. It was really good that you guys did that. Thank you for that. Okay. Anybody else have any items on the check register, the city credit card? Is there a motion to approve item 7?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Guerra,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson,
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho.
Yes.
Okay, with that, we'll move on to regular business. There's no regular business scheduled tonight. After that, we'll go to public hearing. There's no public hearing tonight, and so we will go on to departmental reports. City Manager Santillan?
Nothing to report except that I know the department heads will get into some of the damage from the storms recently. But also wanted to report, we've been, Chief Peterson and I have been part of countywide emergency operation calls with city managers and EMS services throughout the county to make sure that we're all staying abreast of what is happening, with the weather events and how we're addressing them in each community, and if there's any assistance that each community can provide to another. Fortunately, Selma hasn't been impacted as hard as other communities, like Reedley at first, and in some communities in Tulare County, but we're staying updated with anything that could potentially come up. And so I just want to let you know that we're staying on top of that, and then the department heads will address additional things that have resulted from the storms.
Okay, city attorney. Okay, deputy city manager in charge of administrative services.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. I don't have a whole lot to report with the exception of on March 13th, we had our newly hired HR manager start. And she comes from the city of Tulare, and she's got a great HR knowledge, and we're very, very fortunate to have her be on Team Selma and move us in the right direction and provide that support to the city with respect to our employee relations.
Okay, thank you. Deputy City Manager, Development Services.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have much to report today considering
the job 3 days.
Yeah, a little bit longer, but maybe I'll move it back because I'm just loud anyway. Yeah. Like I said, still getting the lay of the land a little bit, catching my sea legs, more this week, catching up on projects, and we plan on bringing that development presentation with statuses of ongoing projects.
Thank you. Community Services Director.
Mayor and council members, as you guys are all aware, unfortunately, a tree has fallen on the senior center and we are not able to operate out of there at this time. I do want to send sincere thanks, obviously, to fire for being there, but also our public works team. They have been there. They were there from what I believe several nights late. But also just the work that they've been doing on that building and ensuring that it doesn't seek any further damage. So I really appreciate it. And while I may give Alvin a hard time because it's not fixed yet and I don't understand why, I do appreciate their work and how hard they are working. Obviously, you can't expect these kind of things to happen. So when they do, I feel very fortunate that we have these people here to help us get through this. That being said, my team has been very focused on how do we adapt during this time and continue services. So I'm very pleased, again, with the help of Public Works. We will be opening up the senior meal program out of Pioneer Village starting Wednesday. It looks like we're going to be able to open on Wednesday so that we can continue that program. We won't be able to do all the activities that we've been blessed to be able to do out of the senior center, but at least we can bring that services to meet that need in our community and continue to provide those meals. So if anybody has any questions, they can give Liz or me a call or send us an email, and we gladly help them understand what our practices are moving forward. With some more good news, I did have the opportunity this past weekend to attend Cinderella at the Selma Arts Center. Another phenomenal performance. I'm not sure if you guys have had a chance to see some of the marketing for it, but they brought in a 15-piece orchestra. So when we really talk about the amazing things that are going on in Selma, just to see that and hear the music and the talent. In addition to that, like I do when I come to every show, I try to bring people. We go eat meals in the city, and it's just a fantastic way to advertise our city and our local businesses. So I do want to give a big shout out to them for the work that they do. There are still a few more shows left. However, they are nearing being completely sold out. So if you do want to catch a Cinderella, it is a phenomenal show. I highly recommend it. So get in contact. If you guys need tickets, let us know. Again, I just can't speak highly enough about the things that they're doing there. In addition to the Selma Arts Center, the recreation program, as we start amping up our new programs, as we start rolling out the new things that you guys will be seeing within the next year on the calendar, we're going to start off with a visit from the Easter Bunny. So April 8th from 10 to 12 at the Selma Arts Center, the Easter Bunny will be visiting. So kids can come and get their pictures taken and meet the Easter Bunny. And then Liz and I will be attending a conference the first week in April down in San Diego for California Parks and Recreation Society. So I'm very excited to go attend on the behalf of City of Selma, but also just learn about what other communities are doing as we're kind of coming through the end of the COVID, pandemic, and how we're reopening, and just the new and innovative ideas that are coming out. So I want to thank council, thank our city manager for allowing us these opportunities, because these really are what help us grow our community. So thank you for approving those funding opportunities and training for our staff. Other than that, I think we're just keeping busy as much as possible. So please continue to spread the word. Senior meals will be coming back on Wednesday. And as much as everybody wants, we are working very hard to bring back bingo, because they are very mad we are not doing bingo right now. So we are working on a plan of action. So we just want to thank everybody for that. Thank you.
Great, thank you. City Clerk, who's also the Public Information Officer? Oh, we'll go to the City Clerk and then we'll go back to Fire. We'll come back to you.
Mayor, council members, members of the public that are still in attendance, and those that are online. Thank you. Just want to provide the information to everyone of a few upcoming events. The dog license and vaccination clinic will be happening on March 25th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and that is going to be at Lincoln Park. As the members of the public mentioned earlier, the Sikh parade will take effect on April 16th. As Caltrans staff said, work will begin on April 2nd and closure will take effect about 2 weeks after. We already had been discussing those types of events and how they will, the need to have that communication. FCRTA groundbreaking will occur on April 21st at 10 a.m. Excited about that event. Waste Management was here. I don't believe they're in attendance any longer, but the spring cleanup, as the weather is getting better, as the sun starts to come out, we have received an enormous amount of phone calls of inquiring when spring cleanup is. Spring cleanup is always the 3rd week of April. So that's going to be April 17th through the 22nd. So that's Monday through Saturday. And that event will take place at the Waste Management Transfer Station. Lastly, I just want to provide a quick update about the Golden State Project. It has been delayed. There's some redesigning going on the medians, and they're discussing some options about irrigation system. That is still moving forward, but it's back in the redesigning phase.
What we just got a presentation on?
No, that's the
Oh, the Golden
Golden
State.
State
Gotcha.
Boulevard, the Golden State Boulevard project. So that has also been a discussion that staff has been having, not only with county, but with Caltrans, and how it all comes together and how we're all trying to work together on the detours.
It's two major construction projects at the same time.
It is, but we're excited that we're having those ongoing conversations. And city staff has been very proactive about having that open line of communication with all parties.
Question, if business owners contact me, do you want them contacting our Public Information Officer or you, City Manager?
In the interest of a timely response, the Public Information Officer.
Okay.
And that's everything that I have.
Thank you. Fire Chief Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. I'll
Good things
follow
come
up.
to those who wait.
Yes, sir. I'll just follow up on what the city manager said a little bit. We have been paying very close attention to the weather situation over the last few weeks. We've had some extra staffing on at times with equipment available. Thankfully, we haven't needed it. The county has done a very good job of having, swift water rescue teams available and things like that, and have done well in reacting to everything that's gone on. The storm that got us was Sunday night. The storm cell last now that hit us.
Which one?
That I have never seen anything like that before.
That rain was so hard. It's like
It
machine
came down.
guns.
There was rain. There was hail the size of marble.
Yeah.
There were lightning strikes. We were watching it in front of the station. The one thing that we did not have to deal with that the surrounding county communities did were power lines. I don't know how. Fortunately, we didn't have to deal with any strikes that damaged any power lines. So while we were dealing with lots of flooding and things like that, we didn't have to deal with power outages as much as other areas did. So we were thankful. the team really came together that night. Public Works, PD, Fire. We came together as best we could and addressed the situation. Amy spoke about it. Public Works was great. They cleared trees and you know several of them even got stranded themselves trying to get to the yard through all the flooding. So it was just something that I have never experienced, and I've spent some time in the Midwest where they're used to these kinds of things. And so we'll still keep an eye on it. We're not out of the woods just quite yet. It doesn't sound like with some of the rain, but keep following.
Great. Thank you for that. Police Chief Al Chris.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Unfortunately, Friday evening on March 17th, we had a shooting in the near the Grove and Center area. It's sadly that I report that one of those young men succumbed to his injuries. Found that out just before I walked in to our council meeting today. So with that, our investigations unit has been working nonstop since that incident all weekend. I think that we have some, I think they're doing a phenomenal job. What I will say is we don't believe this was a random act. We believe it was a targeted act. However, as the investigation is ongoing, we'll get more information as the days come. Additionally, we received an allegation that there was going to be a shooting at Abraham Lincoln School tomorrow. Our officers have responded quickly. We don't believe this is a valid threat, nothing to show us that it was. However, these types of events are becoming more and more common, especially around our schools throughout, not just, not throughout just beyond our region, state, but nationally. So this is just one of those things that us as law enforcement officers or the profession are having to find innovative ways on how we respond quickly to ensure the safety of our community. However, what we have done is we'll have extra patrol tomorrow at Abraham Lincoln Middle School. And again, I just want to thank all of our patrolmen and the men and women of the Selma Police Department because they are truly overworked. But they continue to stay positive and willing to come in on their days off to ensure that the safety of our community members are met. And I just can't thank them enough. I wish they were all here, but I'll find my own way of thanking them. And with that, I believe that's all, unless anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Public Works Director Diaz.
Mr. Mayor, fellow council, just wanted to update everyone on the Schaefer Park restroom project. That project is nearing completion. The city staff is putting in the hardware now, putting in our ADA compliant handrails and things like that. So we should be wrapped up by the end of this week. We had some delays with the rain and storms. Also, the street sign, I wanted to update you guys on that. We do have all the material now to start replacing the signs. Staff's got the computer program ready to go. We should be starting that in the next couple weeks. And then we also have a bid closing tomorrow for the Steelman Street project. So hopefully we get some good results on that project and we can move forward with that paving project there. We received 149 applicants for our public works maintenance worker position. And so they're going to be giving a test this week to try and narrow down the applicant pool to get to where we can bring them in and start interviewing applicants. So that's a really nice turnout and hopefully we get some good staff. We're looking to fill 5 positions with this recruitment and bring us back up to staffing level so we can continue to offer a high level of service. I wanted to touch a little bit on the recent storms and our lift pumps for those storm systems. We did lose one of our storm pumps on Sunday night, and it's the McCall and Park storm lift station, but staff came together, we got a temporary pump out there and we have it out there on an emergency basis. If we need, we do fire it up and have staff coming in and monitoring the fuel levels in that to keep it going, to get us through the storms. We're working with the contractor to get out there and repair it. Unfortunately, he can't access it through the road because of the overhead wire, so he has to back into the turf, but it was too wet and his vehicle was getting stuck, so he couldn't pull the pump out. So we do have a temporary pump there. to handle that if need be. And I just wanted to thank all the other departments and commend the public works staff for the work that they've been doing during these storms. Lot of long days and a lot of long nights for them, but they've been stepping up. Fires helped tremendously. PD has also with road closures and helping us control traffic when we needed to clear the roads with debris. So just wanted to thank everybody.
Thank you for that. Okay, on to council reports. Councilmember Mendoza Navarro.
Real quick question on the street signs. Do you have where you're going to be starting?
We're planning on using our street sweeping schedule. So we'll start on the southwest side of town and move forward using that as a guideline to replace street signs.
I didn't realize how many street signs we had that are really bad. So they all need to be.
We're going to go through as a whole and start and use that as our guideline.
So I don't have much. I did attend the City of Sanger had a Woman of the Year event, and Councilmember Esmeralda Hurtado invited me to this event, and it was a really nice event, and it's something that I think that we could probably maybe do something here in the city. It's especially because it's Women's History Month this month. We're celebrating Women's History Month. And so it was a really nice event. They got together with the Sanger High School Floral Department and also some local artists, and the floral arrangements were actually for sale. And they had some little like snacks and stuff that they had, and they recognized 3 women from the community that are just they had 3 nominees. And so then I guess they have this on a yearly basis. So it was a really nice event that I attended. And then after that, we actually got together. It was the mayor from Kerman, the mayor from Parlier, and then Councilmember Hurtado and myself got together and just kind of talked about like our cities and what, things we could bring to our city. So it was a really good opportunity to collaborate. And that's pretty much, I don't have much more to report. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councilmember Trillo.
I'd just like to, first of all, reiterate what everyone's been saying, Public Works, Police, Fire, all staff, for all the weather conditions you guys been doing a great job. Did notice all the hard workers out there when it was raining. So for that, I commend you guys, and you guys are always on top of it. So even shorthand or not, you guys are still out there. So for that, I commend you guys. Another one I'd like to, City Manager, I'd like to request that we place an RFP for the trash in regards to meet the request from Waste Management. I heard them loud and clear. I think we need to open that bidding process. If you could put on the next agenda, I'd really appreciate that.
Just for clarification, an agenda item which would direct staff to open the RFP or to.
Can you bring the RFP? Can we start the RFP or? can
Okay,
we
yeah, so
get the process started?
we'll probably be ready to publish that in about probably the second or meeting of April or the first meeting of May. But we can bring it before we publish it to the council for review.
Okay. And the other is, I would like for you to bring, if you could put it on the agenda. I know the mayor brought up the fact that we were cleaning the cattlemen's, the property of the cattlemen's. I'd like to see if we could bring back the contract and review it, or even just present it to the city council. I'm pretty concerned in regards to what I've seen in the past of what they're actually paying and what the contract reads out. I'd like to kind of go through it amongst us. Aside of that, I have nothing else to, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Guerra.
Okay, I attended a ribbon cutting for Bun in the Oven Imaging. I want to congratulate Marlene Hernandez for 1 year of being in business here in the city of Selma. So it's wonderful. It was a really nice event. Also, had another issue or complaint about the sandbags. I guess some of the citizens that went out to get sandbags, there wasn't any. They said they went like back 2 days. So I know he's speaking with Jasmine. She said she was going to make sure that they were out there. And the other thing they mentioned is there any way that
that maybe we can designate another area. They mentioned like somewhere where United Market is in that area for folks that live in that vicinity. It'd be easier for them to go get sandbags than coming all the way down here. I'm just giving you the idea of what, sharing what they've stated. They also, that's pretty much it for me, but what I do want to say is I want to commend the entire staff, our city staff. I mean, it just showed today the outpour of our fallen officer Carrasco's family to be here and fill this room. It just showed the love that their family has for our community and how they really respect our community for everything that we're doing. And I just want to commend you guys for Chief Alcarez for everything you've done, and that they really, really were impressed with that monument. I think it was amazing. You did a great job, but I don't want to get all teary-eyed because I get really emotional, but I just want to tell you, you guys set the tone, and this is us. This is our city. When I say it over and over, when there's tragedy, we come together like family. And that's what we stated to their family tonight. He's going to continue to be our family for the rest of our lives. So I want to thank you guys, first class all the way. I mean, it was amazing. And I thank you guys. Jerome, I welcome you. I'm excited. I'm excited for you to bring back, we need that project. We need those housings. So thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Cho.
Yes. I'd like to commend all your department heads and your team for working so hard for our city, because you guys really come together in this time, and I really thank you so much for it. I did attend a meeting for the Kings Basin Water Authority, and this was established like 2009 and includes like 60 public, private, and non-governmental organization that join together to implement an integral regional water management plan to help protect and improve the water resources within our area. So this group's been around for a long time, and usually I think the areas they take care of, it's like the area that needs the water the most. So then they usually get grant money in there. So if a city needs a water source or something, then this is a group that handles it. I also attended a mixer at XKF, and that's usually an annual mixer that includes Selma, Fowler, and Kingsburg, and that was very well attended. I also did do the ribbon cutting at the 1-year anniversary of an Bun in the Oven. So that was pretty nice. It was a very unique place. I've never seen one like that. Basically, it shows ultrasounds of babies before they're born, and they put it in a really, really comfortable atmosphere that they could share it with the family. So that's really something unique I've never seen. So it's really a neat place. So everybody wants to know what baby girl or boy, I guess that's where you go. Okay, and thank you.
Thank you. I attended the SKF board meeting. The biggest item on that agenda was Veronica Casares was formally named the general manager. Congratulations to Veronica. She's born and raised in Selma, and she's been with SKF for over 20 years. It's going to be really good for her to be continuing working with Selma. And she said she's really looking forward to working with Selma, especially on the Clarkson Lift Station project, which she is very familiar with, and which I'll definitely be asking about, and would be more than happy if any council member wants me to ask on behalf of, please let me know. I also attended a LAFCO meeting as a board member on March 8th. According to the executive officer, this was probably the last meeting for a while where any annexations will occur. City of Clovis had an annexation, but they don't seem to have too many annexations after that, which may be an indicator of the economy slowing down. The prospective budget was talked about, and LAFCO is going to need funding from other sources. Unfortunately, that may come from the cities and county. We pay a membership fee to be part of LAPCO, so we'll definitely be on the lookout for that one. I received 2 letters from residents. The first was a concern that the police patrol more in their area, be more visible on the west side of the city. The other letter was requesting road improvements on the Golden State Corridor, which is going to be happening. I requested per section 118.5 of the city ordinances of the last meeting, a report on the local area investment fund. Is that going to be produced?
Yeah, and the local agency investment fund, the council agreed to bring that as a report during the budget time, and so that was what staff was planning on.
During the budget time?
During the budget adoption process, we would present a report of the LAIF account, the balances as part of the overall financial picture.
It's just, I've been bringing this up for, months
Sure.
and months, and it's important because we had it brought up by a council member that there's $20 million and borne out by the city administration, that there's $20 million there in the city. And I think if that's unused funds, I think our city needs to see that, address it, and this council needs to look at ways of putting that into our capital improvement plan and putting it into our city. I'm up here on council as a board member, not in the majority, but as a council member to oversee the finances of the city. And the people, they expect this. They expect me to ask questions like this. I don't have to, but I want to, because people are interested in learning and knowing about where the finances are. And when we get statements like that made about $20 million in unused money, then I have to ask questions and investigate that. So when I hear that we're going to get that report around the budget time, I'm just wondering, is there a reason for that delay, or is it because it's hard to get that information of the local agency investment fund? Does it take a long time to get that? Do we not have staffing to do it? Or is there a reason for that delay, that we can't get that report before the budget time?
No, that was just the direction that the council as a whole gave us. And to your point, the purpose of that information is to figure out if the council wants to do something with that. The CIP process, the capital improvement planning process, is where we would present the options for what we could do with that money if the council so chose to spend it. So that's the purpose. There's no delay. It's just what was decided at the last meeting, if you recall, Mayor. So we have no problem. That balance that you're talking about, the 20 million, is still very much the same balance as of December 31st. And we're more than happy to provide further details on that when we bring it with the budget.
Yeah, I recall the meeting that I missed was the February 7th meeting when I chose to attend the vigil for Officer Carrasco, but I was at the last meeting, and I don't recall the council giving that direction. I will go back and watch that meeting again from front, because there was a lot said about me at that meeting, and I do recall that. I recused myself, so it was said while I wasn't here, but I will go back to that meeting. You're saying that meeting, that was at the last council meeting that this was
The one
up?
before this, correct?
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And that was during
I'll
the
check that.
closed session
Thank you for that.
conference.
I want to thank city staff for everything you've done. I see everybody out there during this incredibly hard time. Everybody's a member of a team. I'm a member of the team. I'm playing my role representing the citizens. And I know everybody appreciates that. And I know everybody who put me here appreciates them. Thank you for that. So with that, we'll move on to our last oral communications. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say at this time?
Teresa Sala, 1701 Dinuba Avenue. I would like to commend Chief Alcarez on his design for the memorial for Officer Carrasco. And just to I know he mentioned that he wasn't looking for funding at this time, but we have a lot of service organizations here in our community, Kiwanis, Lions Club, Rotary, and I'm sure that there's not just those, but Catholic Women's Club, the Women's Club, there's just a lot of groups. And I think that when he's ready to do some fundraising, if he would, approach us and give us the opportunity. And then the other question I have is, why is the waste management cleanup, the spring cleanup, why is it being held in Fowler again? Why isn't it being held in Selma?
City Manager, would you like to respond?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. As a recent agreement between Waste Management and the city, the two events are split up. The one in the spring is held at the Fowler Transfer Station, and the one in the fall is the one that's held here at the Selma Unified Yard. We have been pushing them to try to move both, but it's one of those things that historically, I think they held both events at the Fowler Station. And so we're working towards bringing them
Or that
both.
they were always held in Selma.
Sure.
Both of them. And then they moved them both to Fowler, and we finally got one back in Selma, and I'd like to see both of them in Selma. It's for the citizens of Selma. So I don't see any reason why we have to traipse to the other side of Fowler to throw our trash away. And we're paying this company to provide us this service. So why do we need to go out of our way to dump our trash? Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, anything to say at this time?
(1057) Mill Street, Rose Robertson. I just want to say kudos to the monument that's going to be placed for our officer. Very well done. Unfortunately, Friday, we heard about 2 more young kids that were shot. And unfortunately, as I listened to the scanner and many other people who want to hear about what's going on with public safety to be safe, do we get any more information on, 'cause every time we hear those scanners, we hear about our officers being out there, want to be protected. Have we got any more information for them to have body cams, for them to have some protection? And over, we will continue as the citizens want to do more for our public safety, to have something, to have or protection for them to be able to see. Cameras don't lie. So anything to help them, our officers in public safety and everybody in public safety will do wonders for us. So we'll continue to get together, and we'll be going to Sacramento if we have to request these body cams. So any word on that would be great if there's any information on that. Thank you.
Okay, City Manager, did you want a response to that question?
Sure. Chief can answer that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So I will tell you that I want body worn cameras more than anybody in this room. I think that they're a phenomenal tool for law enforcement because they really give credence to what we're doing out there. With that said, we had applied for I'm sorry, let me backtrack a little. I believe this program was funded far beyond or long before I came here to the Selma Police Department, which if you'll remember, I started on August 1st, 2022, and it has been a hellacious 6 months. We've been extremely busy with many events, and I think that our staff has done a phenomenal job of responding to those events and providing a quality service to our citizens. That said, as being good stewards of our money, I know that we had applied for a grant for those body worn cameras, and I think that those are phenomenal opportunities for us to help offset some of the funding costs for such an expensive program. I think that last quote was estimated about $292,000. Recently in January, a grant opportunity came up for a small tribal and small municipalities. Always have trouble saying that word. A grant opportunity, which would match our funding source, which we already have approved and are ready to move forward. However, if we're able to get this grant, which we should get notification in June of 23. Can you hear me? Okay, in June of 23, we would be looking at a net savings of approximately $146,000, which is monies that we would love to use to enhance our camera program in many of the intersections that we don't currently have cameras, which would be extremely beneficial as the city grows and as crime occurs. It allows us to capture some events or at least some information to help ensure that we have successful investigations, and then thus move that into a successful prosecutions, because the reality is our juries want to see video just like we want to see video. And that is it's something that, again, being good stewards of the money and thinking ahead and not just at a moment's notice. So again, I started here 6 months ago. This grant opportunity came available, and I appreciate the council's patience, but we're trying to really get the most bang for our buck, if you will. And I just felt that this grant opportunity was crucial in accomplishing goals. So again, we're ready to go. We're just waiting for that grant funding, and I'm really kind of crossing my fingers that happens. But at the end of the day, I can say that I did my best and I tried, and that's what I have to do as a good steward of money. Thank you.
City manager question. Got an email from Congressman Costa's office with an application for grant funding. Did the council get that? Did the city manager, did you receive that from the office? Is that something you'd like me to forward to the city for your review? Is that something we've utilized in terms of requesting grants or requesting funding? Yeah, through the federal government.
Sure. Yeah, we received the same link, not only from Congressman Costa's office, but State Senator Caballero's office. And so our consultant, Chris Com, has applied to both of those sources for the specific priorities that the council discussed at the last meeting.
Okay. Did we ever get a list of those specific priorities that were applied for through Chris Com and like a status
No,
update?
I can send that out, circulate that to the council as a formal memo, specifying what we requested from each agency.
Great. I'd love to see that.
I have a quick question, City
Absolutely.
Manager. I know our last meeting, I requested a copy of our spreadsheet for all the projects,
Mhm.
and we didn't get it this meeting, is it?
Yeah, and that's what Deputy City Manager Keen alluded to, the presentation about our projects. That spreadsheet will accompany that presentation once he's up to speed, and that's in probably either the next meeting or the one after, but it'll come soon.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Any more oral communications?
Good evening, Melissa Solorio, 2441 Floral. Before I touch on the issues I have prepared, I just wanted to thank the chief and the police department for designing the memorial for Officer Carrasco. It's beautiful. So I wanted to speak on how council members and staff were criticized about not canceling the meeting on February 6th. There are policies and procedures that have to be followed. Unfortunately, regardless of what the city is going through. We are grateful to have council members and staff that follow those policies regardless of their emotions. To Councilmember Guerra's comment where she doesn't believe that not one citizen would have objected to canceling the meeting. Well, I would have objected, and I'm sure many other citizens would have as well. Not out of respect for Officer Carrasco or those that are grieving, but because it is against policy. Officer Carrasco swore an oath to this city. So did our council members. If we want our city to be successful and respected, we have to abide by the rules. The community of Selma showed unity and overwhelming support for Officer Carrasco, as there were several prayer vigils and services. So to try to put blame on certain council members and staff for not canceling the meeting is just another way to cause division. At the last meeting during the Selma Adult School presentation, Councilmember Guerra said, quote, "Working together is what Selma's about," end quote. Yet the council is in the middle of a dispute with threats of litigation and harassment accusations from the mayor in regards to council members, the city attorney, and the city manager, which Councilmember Guerra obviously supports. Shortly after Councilmember Guerra's comment about working together, she got loud and scornful. about the meeting on February 6th not being canceled, and about the public only hearing one side of the story regarding the situation with the mayor. It's concerning that it's imperative for other programs in the city of Selma to work together, but just not the council. People are quick to use Officer Carrasco's name for their agendas, but after his tragic loss, we all should be trying to work together and to do better instead of continuing with the bickering and disrespect. It's juvenile and it's embarrassing to listen to. We should probably do some self-evaluating to see if our words match our actions, if we truly want what's best for the city of Selma and its residents. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything to say? Do we have anybody online, on Zoom, or on the phone who'd like to say anything?
As a reminder to the callers on Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature and we will add you to the meeting queue.
With that, we will bring the matter back. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Meeting is adjourned.